we in Florida, at this point, our school districts have proposed the mask optional. But I think our fear is that seeing some of those rumblings, that there be an attempt from the federal level or even some of these organizations to try to push for mandatory masking of school children. And so our view is that this should absolutely not be imposed. It should not be mandated. And I know our legislature feels strongly about it, such that if you started to see a push from the feds or some of these local school districts, I know they're interested in coming in, even in a special session, to be able to provide protections for parents and kids who just want to breathe freely and don't want to be suffering under these masks during the school year.
I don't think the Delta variant changes the calculus or the evidence in any fundamental way, Governor. So if you look at the data from before the Delta variant, look at Sweden, for instance, that kept their schools open, unmasked, no social distancing all year. The teachers themselves, and this is before the vaccine, were at lower risk of COVID deaths than the population at large, other workers in the population. And the kids themselves had 0 deaths, I think, in Sweden during that time. I think I saw a study in Florida that the schools that imposed masks had actually had higher rates of teachers getting sick from COVID, and the kids themselves actually, I mean, there's no difference in outcomes because the kids are actually pretty protected from COVID just by dint of being kids. So the correlational evidence, I think, is mixed, and there's literally no randomized evidence whatsoever for these masks in schools.
And then even if they do become infected, the likelihood that they will become sick is quite small. I mean, that data is pretty clear. So I strongly disagree with the recommendation that all children 2 years and above need to wear a mask. And in fact, there are some studies that suggest a child is less likely to become infected in school than she or he is at home. So I think that it's a very difficult issue, but I think people like to say they're basing their decisions on science, but they're not. They're basing their recommendations on emotion.
My position is simple. Masking children is child abuse. There is no evidence to support the contention that masks prevent the transmission of respiratory illness through viruses at all. And there's substantial evidence that shows that children have been medically, physically, and psychologically harmed by mandatory mask mandates.
Is there any basis in terms of your COVID experience? Did you guys do any worse than any of the schools that required masks, to your knowledge?
No, we didn't have any massive outbreaks and have to shut down the school or anything like that. It was essentially a normal year with children out sick occasionally.
Well, I'm glad that you're having this discussion simply because as a parent liaison for Governor's Charter Academy specifically, we want it to be a parental choice, right? If you feel strongly about that, then that's fine. However, our little ones don't really understand that when they arrive at Governor's Charter Academy. They don't understand the social distancing, the mask wearing, and it is very challenging. And that then requires staff, teachers to police the mask wearing. And much like my counterpart from Jacksonville Classical, we did not have large breakouts at Governor's Charter Academy. With our children, well, as a mom at home, our boys are participating in sports without masks. And we are doing our part, right? So I think it comes down to accountability, and that's what you're doing. You're allowing each individual to make that, and if we mandate it, then what are we really saying? So the masks themselves have a marginal, if any benefit, marginal benefit in slowing the spread of the disease. And of course, masks do actually cause some harm to children developmentally. So I don't think that the calculus has changed at all. It's still the same. I think on net, it's not a good idea to mask children.
It was quite a challenge to adapt to it and have to live your day wearing a mask and have to abide by that, and you can't slip up and forget your mask or accidentally have it down. But it really caused a problem for my learning. I know a lot of my peers learning as well, because we depend so much on facial expressions and reading lips to comprehend new things and learn from our teachers. And we just got none of that because all you see is a mask. As well as, like, you walk into a classroom, you're so used to being greeted by a great smile, and instead all you see is a mask, and it's dull. And you're in the courtyard with your friends, hanging out during your break, and you just want to relax and have a good time between your breaks and between classes and not worry about school. And you can't see them laugh or smile. It's just the masks. So it was quite a challenge and very different.
Every thoughtful, rational adult knows that children do not need to have their faces covered. More children died of influenza last year than ostensibly died of all of the variants combined. And yet we never asked children to wear masks during flu season. Why are we asking to wear masks now?